The Sutra of Utter Emptiness. This is prelude to Diamond Sutras of Buddha. The Diamond Sutra is indeed the Sutra of Utter Emptiness. It never happened. Nobody has said anything and nobody has heard anything. Subhuti did not ask and Buddha did not speak. In master-disciple relationship, words become less important all the time. Why should a Buddha and a Bodhisattva need to talk at all? The Diamond Sutra has no sutra in it. That is why it is called the Diamond Sutra or the Sutra of Utter Emptiness. It is an utter emptiness. If you get caught up in the words, you will miss the message. The Diamond Sutra is utterly empty. There is no message in it. There is to read and nothing to hear. It is utter silence. If you read something in the Diamond Sutra, you have missed it. If you find some doctrine in it or philosophy in it, then too you must be imagining. It must be your dream. Buddha has not talked anything, neither Subhuti has heard it. In that state of non-talking and non-hearing, the sutra indeed has happened. And that which has happened is beyond words. That which has happened between Buddha and Subhuti is of tremendous importance and it is beyond words. Anand has tried to capture it for you in the words, but it was not delivered in the words. It was a communion between two emptinesses. Communion between two emptiness. You just go to the sea and see the morning and the fresh air and the sun rays and the waves, and you come back home and relate to someone what you have seen. Then you relate only words. The word sea is not the sea, and the word sun is not the sun. And the word freshness does not explain anything about freshness. How do you communicate then? You have come back home from the beach and your beloved asks you what happened. You bring all that has happened into words, knowing perfectly well that it cannot be brought into words. It cannot be reduced into the words. The moment you put the experience into the words, it becomes false. Yet still the words are of significance, importance because they point to something different. Now, if your imagination is of a tremendous nature, then you can put your experience into the words more meaningfully than anything else. You bring all that has happened into the words, knowing perfectly well that it cannot be brought into the words. It cannot be reduced to the words. Words are so pale and incapable. Something has certainly happened between Buddha and Subhuti. Something which is transcendental. Maybe they just look into each other's eyes. Something was triggered in the consciousness of Subhuti by Buddha's presence. You see, in the morning when the sun rises, the flowers begin to open their petals. It happens in the presence of the sun, but sun has nothing to do. In chemical reactions, there are certain things which do not add anything to the chemical reaction, they remain neutral. Yet still their presence is very important. For example, when oxygen and hydrogen interact with one another in the presence of manganese dioxide MnO2, water is formed. But then manganese dioxide does nothing to the reaction. Simply in its presence triggers something between the hydrogen and oxygen ions, and they begin to interact with one another to produce water. So remember, Diamond Sutra is not a sutra at all. That is why it is called the Diamond Sutra, the most precious, because it contains no philosophy, no system, and no theory. It contains no words. It is an empty book. If you can forget the words and you can go deeper into the gaps between the words, if you can go deeper into the gaps and forget the words, if you can forget the lines and you can go deeper between the lines, in the intervals, in the pauses, then you will find something has happened. It is not a verbal communication. This is how it always happens. The message is not contained in the words, instead in the gaps that are created between two words. Because it is in those gaps you taste the presence of the Master, you become aware of your own presence. I am talking to you, but still I would like to remind you to remember that my message is not contained in the words. You will have to step upon the words to get it. Use the word as a staircase, as a stepping stone. Remember, a stepping stone can become a hindrance if you do not know how to step over them. You know, there are steps that lead from downstairs to upstairs. Steps are only the medium to take you to upstairs, but steps are not upstairs. Steps is much different. You have to go beyond the steps to reach the upstairs. Remember, stepping stone can become hindrance if you do not know how to step over them. If you decide not to come out of the ladder because the ladder is very beautiful, then how can you reach the top of the roof? In order to reach the top of the roof, you have to use this ladder, use these steps, and when you reach the destination, you have to discard the ladder, discard the steps, and then step onto the roof. This is how it happens. And if you say that you do not want to leave these steps because the steps has been so beautiful that from there I saw a different beauties of the surrounding, then it becomes a hindrance. If you do not know how to step over them, you have created a problem. You have to listen in silence to silence. Buddha has not spoken a single word, neither has Subhuti heard a single word. It is the compassion of Anand to make a few maps for you. Those maps are not of the countries. If you have a map of India or Trinidad, that map is not India or Trinidad. It cannot be. How can it be? However, with some limitations, these maps can help you. It can lead you to the real innerness of the country. It is like the arrow on the milestone by the side of the road. It points towards something. This whole Diamond Sutra points towards silence. Silence that prevailed between Buddha and Subhuti. This is how the message of Bhagavad Gita happened. It was, those sutras indicate to the utter silence that prevailed between Krishna and Arjuna at that time on the battlefield. Hence, you will find so many contradictions and repetitions in it, because only through contradictions can silence be created. Each word has to be contradicted by its opposite. Immediately it is uttered, so that the complementaries destroy one another. Complementaries destroy one another in the way silence is experienced. Silence is felt. If I insist that this is morning not evening, then there comes a silence. My effort through these talks on the Diamond Sutra is to instill in you the same silence, the same ambience, the same emptiness that prevailed when these sutras happened for the first time between Buddha and Subhuti. This is why when you look into the Diamond Sutras, you have to remember that these are the sutras of utter emptiness. No one has asked anything. No one has answered anything. Just Buddha and Subhuti looked into one another's eyes. A deep silence prevailed. And in that silence, the benediction happened. Let us enter into this deep silence, the silence that word has created, the silence that this presence is creating. You are indrawn to this silence as it overflows with each syllable, with each word. Let the silence